Lumen Christi TV, truly Catholic.
You're welcome to the second semi-final contest. So it's going to be among Christ the King, Martyrs of Uganda, and Angela JHS. I'll ask the contestants to introduce themselves. Turn it on.
Akalonumpu Ivan, final year student.
I am Adita Petrina, Christ the King Junior High School, Upper East Region.
I'm Pomaxi Parkwisi, Martyrs of Uganda.
Okay.
Michael Amankwajensi, Martyrs of Uganda.
Okay.
Amankwasi Owen from Pon, Ansela School.
Azar Kezia, Angela.
So you're all welcome and all the best in the contest.
Mother's 22.
So we are going to begin with the first half of the first round, the science spectrum round. So you are going to be given 8 questions, ranging from the topic. So you have biology, chemistry, physics, agricultural science. So you have 15 seconds for short answers. Then you have 20 seconds for any explanatory answers. Then you have 35 seconds for longer explanatory answers and calculations. So if you are ready with your answer, you press the bell, you hold on to the bell, and then you are called, you give your answer. If you are called and you stall, we move on to your opponent. So everyone kindly ring your bell so that we know that it's working. Christ the King. Martyrs of Uganda, they are not working. Okay. Okay. Angela. Angela's is not working. Christ the King. Okay. Martyrs of Uganda. Angela. Okay. Angela again. Okay, so it's working. Angela again. Are we okay? Okay, so Christ the King, your bell. Matters of Uganda, then Angela. Yeah, but that's how it sounds, yes. Okay. Okay. So once you press, I mean they'll see. Okay, so we have a bell judge who will deal with that. Okay. So we begin. So chemistry short answer. You have 15 seconds. Atomic number is the number of protons in the nucleus of an atom. What is the atomic number of the element which has 2 electrons in its end shell?
Matters.
Magnesium.
Pardon?
Magnesium.
No.
12.
Pardon?
12.
No.
Angela.
Calcium.
No.
Christ the King.
What's the atomic number?
20.
No, you've already.
Time up. They didn't talk.
Okay, all right. So I asked for the atomic number, not the element. So yes, 20. No, so they don't. We should give it to them. Okay, so the next. No, I don't know. Biology short answer. So you have 15 seconds. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants utilize carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight. Green plants store excess glucose as what?
Christ the King.
Starch.
That's correct. Next question, applied science short answer. So you have 15 seconds. If a pair of secateurs are used for pruning diseased plant parts of a plant, what farming tool will be used for cutting?
Matters of Uganda.
Shares.
That's correct. Now, biology short answer. You have 15 seconds. In the ecosystem, organisms that live in water are classified as aquatic or
Christ the King.
Terrestrial animals.
no,
Angela.
Aquatic organisms.
no.
Matters of Uganda.
Arboreal animals.
Pardon?
Arboreal animals.
No. So the question was, You have organisms that live in water and they are classified as aquatic organisms. What term refers to the small microscopic plants that drift and float in water? So that's plankton. Okay, so next, chemistry short answer. You have 15 seconds. Potassium permanganate is an inorganic compound that exists as a purplish black crystalline salt compound with many uses that include being used for the synthesis of organic compounds such as ascorbic acid. What is the oxidation number of the manganese in the compound?
Angela.
7. The positive 7.
Okay, that's correct. Next, physics calculation. So you have 35 seconds. If the distance between your home and your school is approximately half of a kilometer, how long will it take you to reach the school premises if you walk at a rate of 25 meters per second squared?
Christ the King.
20 seconds.
That's correct. Next question, applied science short answer. You have 15 seconds. Subsistence farming is the practice of growing crops and raising livestock sufficient for one's own use. Which type of crop will you grow in your home garden if you notice the soil was nitrogen deficient?
Matters of Uganda.
Legumes.
That's correct. Chemistry calculation, you have 35 seconds. An element X with atomic number 19 forms a compound with another element Y of atomic number 7. What is the chemical formula of a compound formed between these two elements?
Angela.
XY.
No.
Which is K3N.
Matters of Uganda.
4K plus O2 will give you 2K2O.
No.
Christ the King.
K3N.
Pardon?
K3N.
No. So I won't give it to you because I gave you the elements, how they were classified. So it's X and Y. No, they said it after they had already given the first.
You said K and Y.
That was not their first answer. Your first answer was not X3. They didn't say X3Y. That was not the first. Yes. So that's the end of the first half. So we are moving to the second half. So you are going to engage in a short science experiment, which will be undertaken for a maximum of 10 points. You have 5 minutes to complete this. So many chemical reactions occur in our daily lives. Common examples of such reactions are burning, corrosion, cooking of food, and digestion. One important class of chemical reactions are precipitation reactions. In such reactions, 2 different soluble salts, which are in aqueous solutions, combine to form 2 products. One of these products is insoluble in the solution and is precipitated out, and is therefore referred to as the precipitate. In today's experiment, you apply your knowledge of separation of mixtures to separate the mixture of products obtained in a precipitation reaction. You are required to mix 2 soluble salts and record your observations. After that, you are required to separate the mixture obtained and present your residue to me for inspection. You are going to be given 2 test tubes, 2 beakers labeled A and B, and they each contain a soluble salt. So you have potassium iodide and then lead 2 nitrate. You are going to be given a filter paper, a funnel, and a conical flask. At the end of the experiment, you'd write a balanced chemical equation for the reaction. Are we okay? All right, so you may proceed to the table. Are you all set? Okay. Everybody ready? Your time starts now.
You have 2 minutes, 30 seconds more. Two minutes more. Thirty seconds more.
Five seconds more. Ready to stop? Time up. Time up.
chemical reaction, you were to get a yellow precipitate, which was a solid, and then you'd write the balanced chemical equation. Okay, so when you write the balanced chemical equation, you're supposed to indicate that you had the precipitate, that is your lead iodide, which is a solid. So if you didn't indicate that, you lose a point for it. Okay. So now, at the end of the hot lab, so Christ the King had 6 points, and Matters of Uganda and Angela had 9 points each. So Christ the King, your balanced equation was not correct. Okay. So at the end of the round, Christ the King had 12 points. Matters of Uganda had 15 points. And Angela also had 12 points. So now to substitutions. So we have for Matters of Uganda, we have Michael going out and then Destiny coming in. Brittany. Oh, I heard this. Brittany, sorry, Brittany. Brittany Opokuare. Do you need help? Yeah, okay. You're welcome. Please introduce yourself and then we'll continue. Please, can we get the laptops set up? Oh, you don't need it. Can we get the laptops, please?
I'm Opokuari Brittany from Matters of Uganda.
Okay, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
So we'll get the laptop set up. I'll hand over to Triumph to continue to begin the first half, the first part of the second round. The first part of the second round.
Okay. Stop. The IDE will still be opened. The programming you are doing is in the IDE. If you are done with that, give me a thumbs up so that I see. Okay. The two schools. Matters. Are you okay? If you are done, give me a thumbs up so that I know. Oh, thumbs up. Okay.
Matthias, is there a problem?
Okay. Matters, do you have a problem? Can you talk to us?
It's still loading.
The PC is still loading. As in booting.
It's now here.
Come again?
It's now here.
Okay. Okay, sure. I don't think it's slow. Kindly check if the PC is slow. As in, move the mouse. After it's finished running, check if you are able to enter your things properly and everything. Make sure you are comfortable with it, okay? Are you guys okay? Please make sure you are okay. Are you okay? Are you sure? Do you want someone to come and check it? Since we are fine, before we begin, just a tip to all of you, okay? Because you'll be explaining or you'll be saying the code, I need to understand the reason behind it, right? So if, let's say, I ask you to write a program that displays prime numbers, okay? Give me the why of what you are doing, okay? Maybe prime numbers are this and that. Hence, we are going to write a program that can do this and this. Then we start. Then you show me what you have done, okay? So that it is not just the syntax, but also I know you understand it. Do you get what I'm saying? It gives me a full picture of what you are saying. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay, so try to explain the why and the syntax as well, or what you have done. That's if you've put anything down, or what you want to communicate. And try to make sure that your communication is clear. Okay, you are audible enough. I can hear you. Don't muffle your sound. Don't. let it be clear. Say it 1-1, okay, so that I can hear you. Because you have just 3 minutes. Within that, if I'm telling you to come again, it doesn't help you. Okay. Okay, sure. So we are starting with Christ the King. Christ the King. Write a program to calculate the average of a list of numbers. Write a program to calculate the average of a list of numbers. Start. One minute gone.
Okay. We created a variable called numbers, and we use the input function. So numbers equal to input bracket open quotation number 1, number 2, number 3. Quotation close, and then the bracket close. Then we went to the next line to say average equal to number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3, dividing number of numbers. Then we went down to print bracket open average bracket close.
Take the dividing side again.
You said
Take the dividing part again.
after creating the variable, we came down to write print average equal to number 1 plus number 2 plus number 3, dividing number of numbers.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you one. Okay. Matters, let's take this question. Create a Python program that checks if a given number is even or odd. Create a Python program that checks if a given number is even or odd. Start work.
First, you create a variable, let's say a, then it's equal to, then you call on the int function, then into brackets, inputs, then another bracket, then you bring your quotes, first number, to show the user that this is where he or she is supposed to type the first number. Then the next variable, b, is equal to int, then inputs, then another bracket, quotes, second number, to also show the user that here is where the second number should be typed. Then we created a variable called c, which is equal to brackets open, then a modulus 2. Then we use the if else. Then if c is 2 equal signs 1, then the colon, then we indented print into brackets the quote, the number is odd. Then the next line, else, then the colon, print quote into brackets quote, the number is even.
Okay, I'll give it to you. 3 points. Ansela. Let's do this. Create a Python program that counts the number of words in a given sentence. Create a Python program that counts the number of words in a given sentence. Start.
Okay, so you create a variable, then you equate it to an input statement, and as we decide to use inputs the sentence, so the user will have to type the sentence that he wants to find the number of words in. Then we decided to use the function .count. So since our variable was a, it was a.count, and we put 2 brackets there. So we printed a.count. Then it gave us the number of words in it. And since we're looking for the words, we could also use for x, and I'm sure we use the for loop, which is for x in a print x. So it gave us a specific number. Therefore, the user could see the number of words in the sentence that he inputted, because it's iterated through each one.
Are you assuming you're using a list? Are you assuming you're using a list? There's no list in the question. You are assuming, in your answer, you are sort of assuming you are using a list. So you are iterating through the words, right? Yeah, but the question doesn't say a list. Do you want to try again? You can't hear me. Oh, I'm saying that in your answer, it sounds like you're assuming we are using a list. The question says, create a Python program that counts the number of words given in a sentence.
Yes, please.
You get me?
Yes, please. We told the person that we created the variable, which is a, and we created it to an input statement, which is inputs the sentence. So the person typed the sentence. Then we use the dot count function to count the number of words in it. Because the person is looking for the number of words.
I'll give you one. Time is up. It's a good attempt. When you have a sentence, the first thing you have to do is to split the sentence into words. So you have to use the dot split function. After you split it, then you use the len function to find the length. That's the number of words. Basically, that's it. Okay. Christ the King. Write a Python program to calculate the sum of all even numbers from 1 to 50. Write a Python program to calculate the sum of all even numbers from 1 to 50. Start.
So you create a variable, say numbers, even numbers between 1 to 50, equal to input, bracket open, quotation mark, enter. Wait, Bakula. Enter all even numbers between 1 and 50. Quotation close and then your bracket. Then you come down to print, bracket open,
So you create a variable, say A, which is equal to all even numbers between 1 and 50. So then
Can you speak up?
so you create a variable, say A, and it will be equal to all even numbers between 1 and 50. And you state numbers from 1 to 50. Then you come down.
Even numbers from 1 to 20 equal to even numbers. So even numbers.
Then you come down and type even numbers is equal to bracket opens, double quote, numbers that can be divided by 2, and the answer will be a whole number, double quote and bracket close.
I can't give you this one. Sorry. Matters of Uganda, your question. Create a Python program that reverses a given string. Create a Python program that reverses a given string. Start.
First, you create a variable, maybe a is equal to, then we call on the string function, then into brackets the input function, then another brackets with the quotes, then enter string to telling the user that he or she must enter a string. Then the next line of code we'll call on the print, then into brackets reverse asterisk a.
Take that again. What you just said.
First, we created a variable a, and we assigned it a is equal to, then we called on the string function, then into brackets inputs, then another bracket quotes enter string, telling the user that he or she must enter a string here. Then the next line of code we called on print, then into brackets reverse asterisk a.
I'll give you one. Okay. Angela, your question. Write a Python program that generates a list of numbers from 1 to n. Write a Python program that generates a list of numbers from 1 to n. Where n is also a number, just so you know. One minute's gone.
Okay, then.
Okay. You, okay, first, Okay.
Go on.
First, you create an input variable to ask the user for any number that the user wants to input. Then you write an if statement that you use a loop that while x is less, I don't know, while x is less than 1 million.
I think I have an idea. So first you create you create the variable and assign and ask the user to input like the number which like you want the
Time up. Sorry. I really wanted you to get this, but I can't give it to you. Okay. Well done. Kindly give me 2 minutes to just go through a few things. A lot of you are confusing list functions with string functions. Most of you are using string functions where you need to use a list function, and you are using list functions where you need to use what? A string function. Lists and strings tend to behave similar because when you write a sentence, right, a string, it has items in it, that's the characters and things like that, or words, right? So there are a lot of concepts that you do on strings that you also do to what? Lists, right? Now what is happening is that a lot of you are using functions you're using for lists, for strings, and using functions you're using for what? Strings, for lists. So please, when you go back, kindly pay attention to these things so that you don't confuse the two, okay? All right.
Okay, so we come to the end of the first part of the second round. We'll move on to the second part. Please, can we have the laptops packed? Thank you. So are the contestants ready? We move on to the toss-up questions. We are going to go through 7 math problems, some of which are short work problems, and so you'll be given 15 seconds, and others long work problems, so you'll be given 35 seconds. Are you ready to start? Okay. First question, long work, so you have 35 seconds. In the university, a professorial inaugural lecture is a major academic ceremony to celebrate a colleague's appointment to professorship. It was expected that at an inaugural lecture, 150 faculty members would be attracted. The number of women in attendance would be 3/7 the number of men. Find how much it would cost a caterer to provide lunch pack for the women if one pack costs 50 Ghana cedis.
The last part of the question.
Angela.
Wait. Ah, okay. No, they said they didn't get the last part of the question. Okay.
5,250 cedis.
No. So find out how much it will cost the caterer to provide a lunch pack for the women if one pack costs 50 Ghana cedis.
Time.
So it's 2,250 Ghana cedis. Next question, long work. So you have 35 seconds. When quantities are not of the same value, they are said to be unequal. In mathematics, unequal expressions are called inequality, and they are expressed using inequality symbols like greater than and then less than. Jonathan wants to send a carton of a tin of milk to Jacob through a courier service. The carton cannot exceed a mass of 5.1 kilograms. If each tin of milk has a mass of 170 grams, what is the maximum number of milk she can send?
Angela.
30.
That's correct. Next question, short answer. So you have 15 seconds. In the process of division, values or items are shared or splitted into...
Madam, sorry, please, we didn't hear the first part. Your voice wasn't audible, please.
In the process of division, values or items are shared or splitted into equal size groups. The items or values shared are called dividends, and the number of groups they are shared into are called divisors, while the number of items per each group are called quotients. Isaac was building a tree hut. He had a large plank of wood that he needed to cut into 3 pieces. The piece of wood was 13.5 meters long. How long would each piece be after cutting?
Angela.
4.5.
Unit.
4.5 kilograms. 4.5. What?
Time.
4.5
Time.
groups.
Matters of Uganda rang at the same time. So.
Okay, so I will just give it to you. So, I mean, it's meters. I asked for length, so it's meters. Okay, so when I read the question, the piece of wood was 13.5 meters. I just needed them to add the meters. There was no other unit there, so I'm giving it to them because it's still 4.5 meters. Next question, long answer, so you have 35 seconds. The duration of time spent in class, the amount of money spent on food, the volume of water used in cooking, and the distance from your house to school, all of these can be written as fractions. And this is what shows the importance of fractions in our day-to-day activities. So you have a city park being 9.25 kilometers from St. Andrews JHS. The city library, which is between the park and the St. Andrew JHS, is 3.5 kilometers from the school. How much further from the school is the park from the library?
Angela.
Three whole number 1/4.
No.
Matters.
12. 12 whole number 3 out of 4.
No.
Christ the King.
2.25.
Pardon?
2.25.
No. So it's 23 over 4 kilometers, or 5 whole number 3 over 4 kilometers. We move to the next question. Short answer. Volume is the measure of the capacity that a three-dimensional object can hold. Three-dimensional objects like cubes, cuboids, cylinders, cones, all have capacities to hold volumes of substances. A cylindrical barrel of base area 22 meters squared is 5 meters high. What volume of water will occupy half the barrel?
55.
Angela.
55. 55. What is centimeters cube? 55 centimeters cube.
No.
55 meters cube.
That's correct. So it's correct. 55 meter cube.
Even the first one, he said the answer without the unit. So you tell us what you are using. No, you are in charge, please. You are in charge. So you tell us what consistent thing you are doing so that we go by that. So please, that's all we want. So that it will apply to everybody. So we are waiting for it. So if you want the figure, you are not after the unit. We agree with you. If you want it with the unit,
was what was wrong on the first attempt. They corrected the unit on the second attempt. It was still within the time, so I gave them the opportunity to correct the answer.
Wow, for the very... Are you okay? Please, I beg you. I'm being sincere. I beg. So like I keep saying, we are here to learn. So if I ask for volume, you know that it comes with a unit. So you would have to mention the unit. It's not just about working out the problem, but also giving us the unit. So please listen to the question correctly so that now when you have to mention the answer, you are still giving the units correctly. So next question, long answer, you have 35 seconds. Area is the space or region covered by a two-dimensional figure. It is measured in squared units. A rectangular shaped compound of length 200 meters and width 150 meters has a square shaped swimming pool of length 80 meters at its center.
What is the total area of the compound without the swimming pool?
Angela.
Twenty 23,000. The mic. 23,600 meters squared.
That's correct. So short answer. To the last question. Short answer, 15 seconds. Division is a mathematical operation which involves the sharing of an amount into equal size groups. A dozen is a group of 12 objects or numbers. How many dozens of drinks can be packed into an ice chest that can hold 180 drinks?
Angela.
15 dozens.
That's correct. And with that, we come to the end of the second part. We move to the third part. So Christ the King, we start. So this is the rapid fire segment. You have 60 seconds to answer 8 questions. If you have the answer, you can interrupt me and give me the answer. Once I'm done reading the question, you do not go back to give me the answer till I'm done reading all the 8 questions, and then you can mention the question number and then give me the answers. Okay. So you can turn your sheet. And your time starts now. Simplify 3 over 2 minus 24 over 16.
Pass.
9 is what percentage of 3?
300%.
That's correct. Find P if 10 to the power P is equal to 10,000.
P is 4.
That's correct. How many prime numbers exist between 0 and 10?
4.
That's correct. Convert 168 hours to days.
Pass.
Simplify minus 4 minus into brackets minus 6 minus 7 bracket close plus 5.
-22.
No.
-22.
No. Divide a raised to the power 2 b to the power 5 by a to the power minus 2b.
Pass.
The mean of the numbers.
Time up.
So 3 out of 8. Matters of Uganda, are you ready? You can turn your sheet. Your time starts now. Find y if 5 raised to the power y is equal to 125.
3.
That's correct. Divide 81 by 3 to the power 3.
9.
No.
Next.
The mean of the numbers 25, 10, 0, 10, and 15 is?
Next.
Convert 2 hours to seconds.
7,200.
That's correct. What percentage of 2 is 8?
25.
No.
Next.
Simplify 8 over 2 plus 30 over 6.
9.
That's correct. Add up all the prime factors of 6.
5.
That's correct. Simplify minus 3 minus into bracket 6 plus 9 bracket close minus 5.
Negative 23.
That's correct.
Time up.
Okay, so 5 out of 8. So I said Christ the King had 3 over 8. So Angela, same rules apply. You may turn your sheet. So your time starts now. Add up all prime factors of 17.
18.
No.
Pass.
Convert 5 hours to minutes.
300 minutes.
That's correct. Simplify minus 4 times into bracket 6.
Negative 33.
That's correct. 15 is what percentage of... Pardon?
20.
No.
Pass.
Find A if 2 to the power A is equal to 64.
6.
That's correct. Simplify 5 over 7 plus 3 over 14.
13 over 14.
That's correct. Divide 500 by 5 to the power 3.
2.
No.
4.
That's correct. The mean of the numbers 0, 10, 0, 30, and 15 is
11.
That's correct.
Please, Ade, please can you move on? Continue.
No, so that's the end of the question. So now you can go back to the ones you haven't answered.
Time up.
Okay, so 6 out of 8. So with that, we come to the end of round 2.
Asari.
Please speak up.
Asari Afua Emanuela. Martyrs of Uganda RC. TH.
Okay. Please introduce yourselves.
Adodan Kwanana Kwame Enim Anchila School.
Kwashi John, Anchila School.
We are moving to the third round. So in this third round, you have 4 categories: black scientists, true or false, riddles, and tech bites.
Hello, hello.
Till I see that you are calm, we'll not move on. Okay. Okay, so for clarity, are your bells working? Are the buzzers working? Okay, so they are working. The microphones are also working.
Yeah.
Your microphones are working, so we can start. Okay. So now to the third round, you have 4 categories: black scientists, true or false, tech bites, and riddles. You have 3 sets of questions each. When you have the answer, you press the bell, you are called before you give the answer. For the true or false questions, if you give a wrong answer, you get a negative score.
Like, put your hand on me, so like on my laptop, and I echo something.
For the riddles, if you answer the question on the first clue, you get 3 points. On the second clue, you get 2 points. And on the first clue, you get 1 point. So Christ the King.
Riddles.
Riddles. Okay. First clue. I am a monoatomic stable gaseous molecule. Second clue. I belong to group 0 on the periodic table.
Angela.
Hydrogen.
No.
Helium.
Matters.
Helium.
No. So I belong to group 0 on the periodic table and can be found as the third most abundant gas in the atmosphere.
Christ the King.
Carbon.
No. So third clue. So it's done. So it's argon. Okay, so Christ the King, you're next.
Riddles.
Riddles. I am a non-linear equation that yields a U shape or a parabola when graphed. Second clue. When people work with me, one of the common things they do is to solve me, which means to find the points on a coordinate grid where the graphed equation crosses the x-axis or the horizontal axis. Third clue. I can be factored to yield 2 different equations. Fourth clue.
Angela.
Quadratic equation.
That's correct. So 1 point. 1 point. So Angela, your category?
Black scientist.
Black scientist. I was originally planning to be a nurse. I found myself so interested in chemistry that I just didn't want to part from it.
Angela.
Alma Levantading.
That's correct. Your category?
Black scientist.
Black scientist. I studied at St. Monica's Senior High School.
Matters.
Abba Andam.
No.
Christ the King.
Yeah, in Mobedu.
That's correct. So Christ the King, your category?
Black scientist.
Black scientist. So to the last black scientist. I am a Ghanaian scientist. Collins Obwa, another scientist from...
Angela.
Prince Lakoli Biamanti.
No. So another scientist from the University of Ghana and I were the 2 scientists selected to attend the Nobel laureate meeting in 2017. In 2021, I was among 5 women recipients in developing...
Christ the King.
Priscilla Kolibiamante.
No. So I received the 2022 Africa Role Model Overall Female Personality Award and was inducted as a fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences the same year.
Matters.
Sylvia Annie.
No. So it's Mariana Santua in Cancer. Okay, so who gave the black scientist? It was Christ the King or Angela? Okay, so Angela, your category?
No, it was Christ the King. It was Christ the King.
I can't hear you.
It was Christ the King.
Christ the King, your category?
Riddles.
Riddles. So to the last riddle. I am the second non-unitary square prime of the form p squared and the first that is odd. I am the sum of the cubes of the first 2 non-zero prime integers. So that's the second clue.
Angela.
9.
That's correct. So they get 2 points. So Angela, your category.
True or false? True or false?
True or false? The diameter of a bamboo flute is measured using the vernier caliper. True or
Matters.
True.
That's correct. So Matters, your category.
True or false?
True or false? The SI unit of frequency is hertz.
Matters.
True.
That's correct. Your category.
True or false?
So to the last, true or false? The length of the arc of a quadrant of radius 7 centimeters is 77.
Matters.
True.
No. Okay. So Matters, now we are okay. I mean, we are left with the tech bites now.
Let's let the take bites, right?
Okay, so tech bites. This function generates a sequence of numbers often used in loops.
Angela.
I'm not sure. Try to 4.
Time out.
4.
No. Did anybody else press?
Pardon?
So I said that this function generates a sequence of numbers often used in loops. What is it?
4.
No, you've already exhausted. So any of the other two schools, if time is not up.
Time out.
Okay. Time. Time up. Okay, so range. So next tech bite. I am an exception handling keyword in Python. What am I?
Angela.
Try accept.
Sorry?
Try and accept.
Okay, so that's correct. Okay, so now to the final tech bite. I am a placeholder statement in Python. What am I?
Angela.
Pass.
That's correct. And that brings us to the end of the third round. contesting schools are Mary Mother of Good Counsel, Pear Plank School, and St. Cecilia JHS. I would ask the contestants to kindly introduce themselves and then we would move.
Sophie Jacob Shibra, Mary Mother of Good Counsel, final year.
Okay.
Fabian Kudutu.
David Aladem Donko.
Okay.
I'm Euseria Kwabin from Peplang School.
Okay.
Sugulo Samuel from St. Cecilia, Upper West Region.
All right.
Dolomona Makalena from St. Cecilia.
Okay, so you are all welcome and all the best in the contest.
Thank you.
So we'll start with the first round. This is the science spectrum round. We're going to do the first half where you have problems under biology, chemistry, physics, agricultural science. You have a maximum of 15 seconds for short answer problems, 20 seconds for short explanatory answers, 35 seconds for long explanatory answers and calculations. So problems are going to be posed to all the schools. You have the opportunity to press your buzzer and then you'll be called on to give the answer. Okay, so let's test our buzzers. Okay, Pepla, St. Cecilia. Okay. So are we ready? First question, biology explanation. So you have 35 seconds. The ecosystem is said to be stable or balanced because the cycle involving the transfer of food from one organism to another is repeated naturally. What will be the consequence of eliminating all the carnivores in an ecosystem?
Pepran.
When the carnivores is eliminated, omnivores can't feed on the carnivores.
The what?
Omnivores can't feed on the carnivores.
No, I won't give it.
Mary Mother.
So the ecosystem may be disrupted if we kill all carnivores, because carnivores feed on herbivores, right? And as they keep on eating herbivores, they transfer energy from one organism to another and also release energy. But when they die, there's little to no release of energy, since these carnivores have died.
Okay, so no. So you started to some extent, yes. You would have. So what would happen is that you have an eventual extinction, because now you have the population of herbivores rising, and now there will be overfeeding on the herbivores. So now we don't have, like, your carnivores are already eliminated, and now the herbivores are also going to be eliminated. So you have an eventual extinction if the trend continues. Is that okay? All right, so biology short answers. So you have 15 seconds. The 10% rule of energy transfer suggests that only 10% of the total energy in one feeding level of a food chain is passed on or transferred to the next level of feeders in the chain. The 90% of the energy lost at each feeding level is attributed to the energy utilization in the body of the consumer in activities such as movement, respiration, and other metabolic activities. How is energy lost in the consumer along its feeding mode and digestive tract?
Peprank.
Some of the energy is used for metabolic reactions, metabolic activities, and respiration and other stuff.
Mary Mother.
So
Mary Mother.
Okay.
So not all the food is digested, and some of this food may be used doing respiration to produce energy for their activities, and the energy is then used and then leading to the reduction of the digestive tract. Like the energy is using the digestive tract.
Okay, all right, so I'll give it to you. So you have energy loss because now you have some food that is not digested. So you have energy being lost through that process. Okay. So now chemistry explanation, you have 35 seconds. Global warming is the gradual increase in temperature of the atmosphere around the Earth due to the trapping of heat in the atmosphere by greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. So which of the hydrocarbon fuels below, when combusted, will contribute most to global warming and why? So you have C2H2, so C subscript 2, H subscript 2, reacts with 5/2 oxygen, so you have O subscript 2, giving you 2 CO2 plus H2O. So that is your first hydrocarbon fuel. Then your second one, so you have C3H6. So reacting with 7/2 O2, giving you 3 CO2 plus 3 H2O. So which of these will below, when combusted, will contribute most to global warming and why?
Mary Mother.
The second.
Hey, wait. He said Mary Mother.
So the second one will contribute more to global warming because it produces more molecules of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, or more carbon atoms. And
okay, all right, so that's correct. Okay, so physics explanation, you have 35 seconds. Please wait to be called before you give the answer. Okay. One of the effective ways of killing and hence reducing the population of mosquitoes is the direct spraying of mineral oils into water bodies that become breeding grounds of the mosquitoes. How does the mineral oil help?
Periplank.
The mineral
Periplank.
The mineral oil help prevent the mosquitoes because when the mosquitoes lay eggs on stagnant waters when the mosquitoes lay eggs on stagnant waters, the mineral oil poured on the water will break the surface tension, which will kill the mosquito eggs and will therefore reduce the population of the mosquitoes.
No.
Saint Cecilia.
The oil will prevent oxygen from entering the water for the developing pupa to take oxygen.
Okay, so that's correct. So next question, physics short answer. You have 15 seconds. A semiconductor is a material that has properties between that of an insulator and a conductor at ordinary temperatures. The conductivity of a semiconductor can significantly increase by adding impurities to it by a process called doping. What other way can the conductivity...
Mary Mother. Mary Mother.
Applying heat to the semiconductor.
Okay, so that's correct. Physics short answer, you have 15 seconds. Mobile phones are charged on a DC voltage, but to charge them, they are plugged into sockets which supply an AC voltage. Which electrical component in the phone allows it to convert?
Mary Mother.
The inductor.
Pardon?
The inductor.
No.
Periplank.
Sulfuric acid.
No.
Saint Cecilia.
The conductor.
No. So it's a diode, either the diode or the rectifier. So physics explanation, you have 35 seconds. The pumping action of the heart exerts a pressure on the blood which drives it around your body. The circulating blood, however, is always confined to the blood vessels within your body. However, incidents of nose bleeding and bleeding from other external organs have been recorded in some persons when they try to climb very high up a mountain. What is likely to occur?
Mary Mother.
So this happens because as the person climbs up the mountain, there's less oxygen in the atmosphere. So more blood will be needed to produce more energy for the person to carry out the activity. More blood is needed to produce more oxygen in the body for the activities, and so there will be more bleeding as the person climbs higher in the.
No.
Saint Cecilia.
The person that didn't experience the bleeding when the person wasn't yet climbing to the mountain, but that this was because the atmospheric pressure was very low, making the pressure of the blood low. But as the person climbs high, the pressure of the atmosphere will be high, so the blood pressure too will increase.
Please repeat the last part.
As the person climbs high, the pressure of the environment will increase, making the blood pressure of the person also increase.
No.
Periplan.
When the person is climbing, he uses more energy when going higher, and as the person is going higher, the atmospheric pressure at the top is very high, so it needs more blood and more energy to climb up. So it pumps more blood and then stretching this thing to take.
No.
Time up.
Okay, so the atmospheric pressure rather decreases with higher altitudes. So what it is that as you go up now, the pressure in your body is higher than the atmospheric pressure. And so it causes, so now because the pressure, your blood pressure is higher, it forces blood out of your body. So now you have nose bleeding or bleeding from any other orifice. So you gave the answer, but you turned it. So you gave it the other way around. You said that the atmospheric pressure increases, and so the blood pressure increases. But because the atmospheric pressure rather decreases, that's what causes your blood pressure. Now your blood pressure is higher than the atmospheric pressure. Please, does everybody understand? Okay. So now to the final question, physics calculation. So you have 35 seconds. Energy-saving lamps are sources of artificial light that employ advanced technology to reduce the amount of electricity used to generate light. If a 40-watt energy lamp is rated 90% efficient, how much of the electrical power supplied to it is converted to light?
Saint Cecilia.
2 joules.
No.
Mary Mother.
4 joules.
No.
Periplan.
36 joules.
No. Okay, so it's 36 watts. Yes, because we are looking at the power. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the first half. So now we move to the second half, the lab. Okay, so you are going to be involved in a short science experiment which you would undertake for a maximum of 10 points, and you'd have 5 minutes to complete this exercise. So the preamble: some chemical changes absorb heat from the surroundings, whilst others liberate heat to the surrounding. So examples of exothermic reactions are combustion, most oxidation reactions, and neutralization. Observation of these changes are very important to scientists in various fields. For example, exothermic reactions are important to forensic scientists and particularly to fire and explosion investigations. Exothermic reactions are used in things like self-heating cans and hand warmers. Examples of endothermic reactions are thermal decomposition reactions and the reaction of citric acid with sodium hydrogen carbonate. Endothermic reactions are used in some sports injury packs to help muscles cool after injury. You are going to be provided with 2 chemical substances, sample A, which is calcium carbide, and sample B, sodium chloride. As a brain battle quiz junior scientist, you are required to carry out a reaction between sample A and water, and afterwards carry out a reaction between sample B and water. So we are doing calcium carbide with water and sodium chloride with water. Afterwards, classify each reaction as either exothermic or endothermic. So you can use a thermometer to measure the temperature of the water before adding the solute, and then you can record the final steady temperature. That's if you have a thermometer. Okay. Make sure to record observations and state clearly your conclusion with the associated reason for your classification of any of the reactions as either endothermic or exothermic. You are going to be provided with 2 conical flasks, a thermometer, a beaker containing water, and then goggles. So at the end of the lab, apart from the evolution of heat, what other observation did you make during the reaction of each substance with water? And what does that observation imply or mean? Is everything understood? Okay, so you can move to the table. So it's 1 goggle per school. So the person who would do the reaction should be the one to wear the goggles, please. Thank you. So whilst one does the reaction, the other person will do the recording as quickly as you see the reactions occurring. The person doing the recording shouldn't be too close to the reaction. We don't want any casualties, please. So the one wearing the goggles should be close. Please be very careful, per plank. The other contestants, your eyes are so close. Contestants, please listen. Please pause the time because they are not listening. Okay, so I'm saying that the other person, please be away from the reaction and just be recording. Okay, so please do not be too close. Okay, so we can start the time.
One minute, 30 seconds more. 1 minute more. Thirty seconds more. Be getting ready to stop work and submit your paper. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop work. Submit your papers now. All schools should stop writing.
Okay, so the coaches, you have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to come out. reactions were endothermic or exothermic. And then the reason why you thought that it was either exothermic or endothermic. So chance to just view the reactions again. No, it doesn't affect your score. It's already been scored. But for the learning process, we want you to view the reaction again, because you realize that you didn't really know how to use the thermometer. Some of you were using the wrong sides. So that you learn how to use the thermometer as well. And then you see the reaction and whatever answer we wanted in the probe part. So you can please move to the table. Pardon? Okay, when they're ready. Okay. Please hold on. So you can sit. When they're ready, they'll call you.
And there's a T. Make sure before you dip, after taking the temperature for 1, wipe the bulb before you use it on the next test. Please, are we all clear? Okay, so when you use the thermometer in one solution, you wipe the bulb before you use it on the next. Thank you. So you are taking the whole exercise again. Take note of that. And we are scoring. So please take note. You record your results again. Hey, so now you are taking it again, fresh.
Okay, so you're actually doing it again. So please document everything that you need to document. These were the goggles.
1 minute, 30 seconds more. Be getting ready to stop weighing. Thirty seconds more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Submit your work now. All students should stop writing.
Okay. So now, were you content with the experiment? Okay, so now what I did was I combined the two. So looking at what you wrote for the first part and the second part, and then marked. Okay, so okay, per plank had 10 points. So they had it right. They had everything right. So Saint Cecilia also had the reaction correct, and then the part with whatever happened afterwards, they had right. So they also have 10. Then Mary Mother gets 8 points because they were not able to tell us what happened apart from the heat. So what you had was that there was an evolution of gas because you had bubbles. Did you see bubbles? You did? Okay. You saw bubbles. Okay. So that is what we wanted, that there was the evolution of a gas. Is that okay? So they had 8. So it's 10, 10, 8. Okay. So please, are there any substitutions?
So for the program, you first have to provide a variable which has been assigned with the data type, the integral input of provide the.
Do you say integral? I didn't hear what you said.
int input.
Integer?
Yes.
Okay.
Provide the number. Then for the next variable, the variable will be assigned to the n1 variable to the exponent of half. And then you print the square root of the number.
Can you describe the syntax of the exponent?
You use 2 asterisks.
Okay, correct. So that's 3 points. Per Planck, your question. Write a Python program that removes duplicates from a list while preserving the order. Write a Python program that removes duplicates from a list while preserving the order. Start.
You create a variable and you assign your element to that variable, and you come to the next line and you use the variable dot index to locate the place of the.
You use, come again?
The variable dot index.
Okay.
And you type the number of where the duplicate is, and you can add discard to remove that.
You can what?
Num dot index remove to remove that duplicate of the element.
So here you are assuming you know where the duplicate is. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not necessarily the case. Write a Python program that removes duplicates from a list while preserving the order. Do you get it? So you have to create a program so that if someone puts 3 duplicates, 4 duplicates, 1 duplicate, it will still remove the duplicates without you knowing where the duplicate is. But if you are going to use dot index, then it means that you think that you know where it is, hence you are specifying, right, the particular item that you are removing, which is not necessarily the case. But that's a good attempt, so I'll give you 1. Saint Cecilia. Write a Python program to find the sum of all multiples of 5 and 7 below 100. Write a Python program to find the sum of all multiples of 5 and 7 below 100.
You first assign the number, you first assign your variable.
Can you speak out so I can hear you?
You first assign your variable. Then you will press enter to move to the next line, and then you will type print dot print dot f sum bracket open.
Or in Bonga Excel, one of them manually, multiples of 5 and 7 less than. You'll come out with 5
So
plus.
then you assign the multiples of 5 to you assign the multiples of 5 as a value to a variable, and the multiples of 7 to another variable.
How are you
That
doing
are-
that assigning? Are you creating a list of the multiples of 5? Or how are you doing that? How are you assigning the multiples of 5? Or how are you getting the multiples of 5?
You say 5 raised to the power asterisk. Asterisk. 5 less than 100. Asterisk less than 100. Then 7 asterisk.
You have 30 more seconds.
You assign 5 asterisk less than 100 to a variable.
You assign 5 what?
Asterisk.
Time up. Sorry, I won't be able to give you a point for that. We are back to Mary Mother. Okay, Mary Mother, here's your question. Create a Python program to find and print the common elements between two lists. Create a Python program to find and print the common elements between two lists. Go.
For the program, you first create a variable L1 and you assign the list with using square brackets, Apple in quotation marks to show that it is a string. Banana.
Can you please take that line again?
Pardon?
Can you take it again? What you just said.
So you create a variable L1 and assign the list using square brackets, apple, and apple is in quotation marks showing that it's a string. Then do the same thing for banana and do the same thing for avocado. Then you create another variable L2 and assign the list using square brackets, apple, and the apple must be in quotation marks. Then John must be in quotation marks, and Kufo must be in quotation marks. Then use the if statement stating that if x in L1 is equal to L2, then you print x.
Then you print what?
X.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. Okay. But that was a good attempt. That was a good one. Per Plank, your question. Write a Python program to find the sum of all numbers from 1 to 10. Write a Python program to find the sum of all numbers from 1 to 10.
Okay, so you create a variable.
Okay.
And you put your element 1 to 10 in the variable.
Please come again.
You create your variable and
Okay.
you put the element from 1 to 10 in the variable.
You put the what?
1 to 10 in the variable.
Please take it again. You put what?
You put you assign, you create 1, 2.
So you create a variable and you put 1 to 10 in that variable.
Yes.
Is it a list?
List, yes.
So you create a list.
Yes.
You saw the list in the variable.
Yes, please. Okay. After you go to the next line and you print you so you create you start for I in range 1, 10.
For what?
1, 10 in brackets.
So you said for I
in range.
Okay.
1, 10, and you go to the next line and print the sum of I.
Is this a continuation of what you were previously saying?
No, this is a new.
This is a new. Okay.
And you print.
Go on.
And you print sum of in brackets I.
Jesus Christ. Can you give me the sum part again? The sum part again.
Okay, so print in brackets sum and in brackets I. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it to you. Saint Cecilia, your question. Write a Python program to calculate the sum of all even numbers from 220 to 6,672. Write a Python program to calculate the sum of all even numbers from 220 to 6,672. Go.
We will first of all assign a variable. We will first of all assign a variable to the even numbers. Now say A. So A in range will be 220. Belana is 220 is to 6,672. So you press enter and write on the next line.
Can you take the range line again? The A in range. Then.
For A in range,
Okay.
220 is to 6,600 and
220 what?
220 column 6,672.
Okay.
Now you press enter and come to the next line and write print dot fsum.
Make sure you consider the even number factor. The numbers have to be even numbers. So kindly consider that. Please hurry up. Your time is almost up. Oh, God.
Parent dot fsum.
Time up. I'll give you one. But you were almost there. But I have to give you one. Okay, so that brings us to the end. Well done. You guys did well. If you've realized, for teams coming tomorrow, if you've realized one of the recurring things is for loop, right? For loop recurs a lot because in many scenarios, you have to go through items to take decisions. So kindly master your for loop, right? For loop will expose you to things like range. Using a range makes things very short for you. So kindly master that. Make sure that you have a good grasp on that before tomorrow. And make sure that you're not confusing strings and lists as well, the functions or the methods that are being used. So that when it's a string, listen and know that, oh, you're dealing with a string. Okay, when it's a list, to listen and know that you're dealing with a list. Not sure if this will be helpful, but I realize that you all create variables, which is good. But you can sort of escape that by using a function. When you create a function, inside the function you can put in the variable so that you don't have to always declare a variable at the beginning. Some of you declare variables that are not even used. some way, somehow. So all the best and thank you very much. Bye.
Okay. So at the end of the coding exercise, Mary Mother of Good Counsel had 4, Peplank had 4, and St. Cecilia had 1. So we move to the second part. So the toss-up questions. So they are math problems. You have short work problems, which you'd have 15 seconds to answer. And then the long work problems, you have 35 seconds to answer. Okay. So you press the bell, you hold on to it, you are called, you give me the answer. Okay, first question, long answer, so 35 seconds. Least common multiples are also called LCM and is the smallest of the common multiples among given numbers. 2 neighboring schools both have sirens. 2 neighboring schools both have sirens, which blows at various intervals to notify the students in the school of certain events. The siren in St. Anthony's School blows every 40 minutes, and that in Community DA blows every 45 minutes. If they both start to blow at 6 a.m., at what time in the day will they blow together again? It started at 6 a.m.
Mary Mother.
Please speak into the microphone.
12 noon.
That's correct. Next question. Mean is the average of values given in a set of data. It gives an idea of the value around which the set of data rallies. In statistics, it's called the measure of central tendency. It's long work, so you have 35 seconds. The mean mark of 6 students in an examination is 75%. The marks of 4 of them are 64%, 70%, 72%, and 74%. The other 2 students had the same marks. What is the mark of these 2 students?
Mary Mother.
75%.
No.
Saint Cecilia.
76%.
No.
Peplan.
85%.
That's correct. Percentages are used in many areas in our lives, in our finances, population analysis, election outcomes, etc. This is short work, so you have 15 seconds. Madam Amina spends 25% of her weekly budget on food and 35% on rent. She has 378 Ghana cedis left over. How much was her budget? 378 Ghana cedis left over. How much was her budget?
Mary Mother.
630 Ghana cedis.
No.
Peplan.
630 Ghana cedis.
No.
Time up.
Can we please check that question? Okay, so we'll come back to it. Division is a mathematical operation which involves the splitting of specific amounts into equal parts. It is used in sharing quantities into equal-sized groups. A company donates 935 textbooks to a school. The books were divided evenly among 9 classrooms. The rest of the books are given to the library. How many textbooks were donated to each classroom and to the library? It's short work, so 15 seconds, sorry.
Peplan.
103 books were distributed to each classroom, and then 8 books was distributed to the library.
That's correct. So, the next question. A linear equation is an equation that contains variables that have an exponent that is not higher than 1. If the variables are of one kind, you just need one equation to solve it. The masses of a bag of wheat and a bag of rice differ by 40 kilos, so 40 kilograms. When each mass is increased by 8 kilograms, the mass of the rice becomes thrice the mass of the wheat. What was the mass of the bag of rice before the increment? Long answer, 35 seconds.
Please, the question again.
The masses of a bag of wheat and a bag of rice differ by 40 kilograms. When each mass is increased by 8 kilograms, the mass of the rice becomes thrice the mass of the wheat. What was the mass of the bag of rice before the increment?
Time up.
Okay,
Mary
Mary
Mother.
Mother.
60 kilograms.
No.
80 kilograms.
No.
It was time up.
It's time up.
Please, it's time up.
Our time is up. Okay. So then it's 52 kilos, 52 kilograms. Next question. Values are multiplied when there's a repetition of the same values a number of times. The values multiplied are called the multiplicand and the multiplier. The result of the multiplication is called the product. Short answer, so you have 15 seconds. Jessica bought 3 gifts costing 24 Ghana cedis each for Mildred, her twin sister, and 5 gifts costing 18 Ghana cedis each for Mary. In all, how much did Jessica spend?
Mary Mother.
162 Ghana cedis.
That's correct. Time can be measured in seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, and years. So this is a long answer problem, 35 seconds, and is the last question for this part. Newton watched a movie with his friends. They watched 40% of the movie and then took a break. They then watched the remaining 42 minutes. How long was the movie?
Mary Mother.
An hour and
Mary
10.
Mother.
An hour and 10 minutes.
That's correct. All right, so that brings us to the end of this part. is the rapid fire round. So you have 60 seconds to answer 8 questions. You attempt as many as you can within the 8. You attempt as many as you can within the 60 seconds. If I'm reading the question and you have the answer, you can interrupt me and give me the answer. Once I move past that question and start reading another question, you can't take me back to the question I've previously read. You'd have to wait till we have gone through the 8 questions before you come back to the other questions. Is that okay? So we start with Mary Mother. Are you ready? You may turn your sheet. Your time starts now. Evaluate x to the power 4 y
X squared y cube. X squared y cube.
That's correct. How many real numbers exist between 0 and 5?
4.
No.
Skip.
If today is Saturday, find the probability that tomorrow is Tuesday. Simplify 2 to the power 2x over 4 to the power x.
1.
Correct. The bearing of Q from P is 137 degrees. What is the bearing of P from Q?
317 degrees.
That's correct. Evaluate 2 whole number 1 over 3 minus 3 whole number 2 over 3.
Negative 1 whole number 1 over 3.
That's correct. Find V if 2 plus V over 17 is equal to V.
8. 8.
No. Factorize completely x to the power 4 minus x to the power 2.
X to the power 2 into brackets x squared minus x.
Time
minus 1.
up.
No.
Time up.
Okay. So 4 out of 8. You don't turn it. We'll come back after. Okay, so Peplank, are you ready? You can turn your sheet. Your time starts now. Factorize completely x to the power 3.
X bracket open, x squared minus 1.
Please come again.
X bracket open, x squared minus 1.
No.
Skip.
Evaluate 3 whole number 1 over 3 minus 2 whole number 2 over. Simplify 1 to the power 48. Then 24.
48.
You know, I can't see. I'm skipping. How many counting numbers exist between -5 and 0?
19. Skip.
Evaluate x to the power half, y to the power 2 over 3, all raised to the power 6.
X to the power 3, y raised to the power 4.
That's correct. Find u if 5u over 9 is equal to u minus 1.
Skip.
The bearing of A from B is 8 degrees. What's the bearing
Skip.
of B? A fair coin is tossed once. Find the probability that a
Skip.
tail...
Question 2. 2 over 3.
That's correct.
Up.
So that's 2 out of 8. Okay, so Cecilia, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can turn your sheet. Your time starts now. Factorize completely x to the power 3 minus x to the power 2.
Skip.
Evaluate 4 whole number 1 over 3 plus 2. Simplify 4 to the power 2 over 2 to the power 5.
Skip.
How many rational numbers exist between 1 and 2?
Skip.
Evaluate x to the power 4, y to the power 5, or raised to the power 6.
Skip.
I can't hear you.
Skip.
Find p if 5 minus 3p over 9 is equal to 4p.
Skip.
The bearing of P from Q is 167 degrees. What is the bearing of Q from P?
Skip.
A fair dice is rolled once. What is the probability that a multiple of 4 shows up?
Skip.
Question 1. X square bracket open x minus 1.
That's correct.
Question 3. 1 over 2.
That's correct.
Question 8. 1 over 6.
That's correct.
Time up.
So 3 over 8.
Ina idea fraction mana amenda weke. Mba ewo mahali na jinkang amaja. Manda weke bana ina idea fraction na weke. Manda wakaji yani even yani na bonus la. Iba yele kumo. Imi na idea fraction na maybe tena idea bono. Nani it should be x raised to the power 24. Then y raised to the power 30. Oh, yeah. Gee, that bear in Mangalam, Nanina, you just add 180 to this one.
These are mission 3.
Yes, what did you say for that? No.
Where is the power 48 over 24 is the power 0?
So 1 raised to the power 48.
Over 24 is the power 0. That's so.
Hey, and you said it was what?
48 over 1. Oh.
It's 1.
It is 1. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's sorry.
We are okay. We are okay. Everybody's okay. All right. So now, the second part, where we had the question about so we're asking the percentages. So one spends this amount on this, so 25% on food, another amount on rent. Yeah, so the answer was 630 Ghana cedi. So we'll give the points to Mary Mother. Yeah, so the coaches, you have 2 minutes if there's any substitution. St. Cecilia, we have Cedric going out and Maclina coming back in.
Dolomona awan ebe Makalena.
Okay, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, so at the end of the second round, St. Cecilia had 4 points, Peplank had 12 points, and Mary Mother had 20 points. So now we move on to the third and final round. In this round, you have 4 categories: true or false, riddles, black scientists, and tech bites. You have 3 questions from each category. If you have the answer, you hold on to your buzzer, you are called, and then you give me the answer. If you get the true or false question wrong, you get a negative score. If you answer the riddles, so you take the first, you answer on the first clue, you get 3 points. On the second clue, you get 2 points. And on the third clue or any other clue, you get 1 point. So St. Cecilia, your category.
True or false?
True or false? Charge is an example of a derived quantity.
Mary Mother.
True.
That's correct. Your category.
Black scientist.
Black scientist. I am an African American scientist. In 1947, the National Urban League recognized my contributions to medicine and science with their annual achievement award. I was elected a member of the National Institute of Arts and Letters for my excellence in medicine and research in 1949. Who am I?
Mary Mother.
Charles Richard Drew.
That's correct. Your category.
Black scientist.
Black scientist. I contributed significantly to research on supersonic flights and other projects.
Mary Mother.
Letitia Obink.
No.
St. Cecilia.
Professor Otis Bochin.
No. So I contributed significantly to research on supersonic flights and other projects. I directly impacted the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs. In 2008, I was posthumously inducted into the Women in STEM Hall of Fame for my significant contribution to the field of mathematics and engineering. Who am I? So now just Peplank.
Time up.
Mary Winston Jackson. Okay, so back to Mary Mother, your category.
Black scientist.
Black scientist, and the last black scientist. I was appointed chief of the spectrophotometer research.
Mary Mother.
Alma Levant Hayden.
Pardon?
Alma Levant Hayden.
Okay, that's correct. Okay, your category.
Riddles. Riddles.
Riddles. First clue. I am a number, a numeral, and a digits. I am a unique and also a unique prime. Second clue. I am a twin prime with 5 and a cousin.
Pair blank.
2.
No. So I'm a twin prime with 5 and then a cousin prime with 7. The digits that comes after me is the square of the one before me.
Mary Mother.
11. 11.
No. For
Saint Cecilia.
4.
No. So the answer is 3. 3. It's a prime number. 3. Okay, so
Riddles.
Riddles. First clue. I am a mixture of digestive enzymes in your digestive tract. I am an alkaline mixture that neutralizes an acidic, partially digested food during digestion.
Saint Cecilia.
Gastric juice.
No. So third clue. One of my enzymes repeats the breakdown of all starch that escaped the action of salivary.
Mary Mother.
Pancreatic juice.
That's correct. So they get 1 point.
Riddles.
Riddle. So to the last riddle. First clue. I am a double-stranded polynucleotide chain that serves as a source of storage of biological data. Second clue. I coil around protein molecules and become visible sometimes as a thread-like material within the most important cell organelle. Third clue. I control basically all your characteristics.
Pair blank.
The DNA.
That's correct. So now your category. We are left with true or false and take bites.
True.
True or false? A semicircle is a sector. True or
Pair blank.
False. False.
no? So now your category. Still your category.
True or false?
True or false? So to the last, true or false? The net of a solid cube is made up of 6 rectangles.
Mary Mother.
False.
That's correct. Your category. So now we are left with tech bites. So tech bites. What does the break statement do in a loop? Break. What does it do in a loop?
Mary Mother.
It stops the loop from occurring.
Okay.
Continue.
So that's correct. Okay, so we'll take a clarification.
Mr. Triumph.
Okay, so they get it. So to the next question. Are you ready? We are moving on to the next. I am an immutable collection of key value pairs. What?
Per plank.
Dictionary.
That's correct. Now to the last tech bite. What is used to create a virtual environment in Python?
Per plank.
Please, did anyone else ring?
They rang it.
No, did anyone else?
No. Time up.
Okay, so it's VENV. V and V. So that brings us to the end of the round.
So to answer them,